Hello everyone, so what do we have here today? Well, I'm happy to report that Zephyr 1100 finally made it and will appear on this channel. For some strange reason, YouTube doesn't have that much on offer when it comes to a bit more detailed review and videos about this old codger. So hopefully this will provide some more information for all of you classic UJM lovers. If you have appreciation for old school Japanese performance bikes from early 70s, then you'll know Kawasaki's Z1 900 model. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that if you take a closer look at it and compare it to the Zephyr, you'll notice significant resemblance. The deal with Zephyr's design was to make a bike representing the same nostalgic genre, but packing it in a modern and more refined vehicle. When I say modern, that of course pertains to early 90s. To be exact, 1992, as this is when the Zephyr 1100 was made available for sale. The looks of course can be taken with both appreciation and criticism, as it all depends on a person's taste. Most of people I talked to about the Zephyr's appearance gave me very positive feedback, with term classy reappearing fairly often. I personally love the lines and design cues referring to Z1 900. I like the polished alloy and shiny engine cases, I like the coolant fins on the cylinders and also clocks, shiny twin exhaust and tear-shaped fuel tank. All of it together makes a really nice impression and clearly was well thought out to export that retro pizzazz to the new by then naked bike on the block. If you walked around the Zephyr and paid close attention to small details, you'll realize many components were actually cherry-picked to match that classy design goal. Look at the chromed indicators, shiny forks, polished yoke, shiny carb diaphragm covers, or even the fuel cap. Really great to look at and hugely pleasing to an eye. You don't even have to be a classic bike lover to appreciate how nicely all of that stuff was put together. Either way, the way it looks is one thing, the way it behaves on the road is another.
Okay, so how does the Zephyr ride? Oh, super comfortably. This bike is literally sofa on wheels. I absolutely love the comfort on this motorcycle. Beautiful acceleration, lots of torque. Mid-range is somewhat beefy and meaty. And so at 60 miles an hour in top gear, in fact at 65 miles an hour in top gear, I've got 4,000 RPM or thereabouts. At 5,000 RPM, I've got 80 miles per hour, fairly unstressed. Although the wind noise and wind buffeting is a bit annoying at that speed, so I'll go back down to maybe 70 miles per hour. At 70 miles per hour, 4,500 RPM. Nice power, not overwhelming, not crazy, but just enough. Decent to overtake, decent to upriding. Couldn't complain about this engine whatsoever. Only other thing I'll say is that because it's air-cooled motor, it can get a bit hot on a hot day like today, especially in town, so I can tell that very warm air goes towards my knees and my legs. So I guess in the winter this might be a good thing. So as I said, plenty of power in this 1100 motor. In fact, it's only 1063 cc, but good enough for effortless acceleration and good overtaking. Clutch operation, clutch is hydraulically operated, actuated even, and it works fairly heavy actually. but nothing that you would complain about. It's just something that you would get used to. Brakes, I would imagine for very extreme riding, perhaps not enough, but for everyday use, absolutely perfect, both front and rear. Instrumentation cluster, very basic. Tach and ending at about 10,000 RPM. Speedo with miles per hour and kilometers per hour. Daily mileage, total mileage. Indicator lights, fuel gauge, and your neutral light, oil light, and high beam. So pretty basic stuff, but you know, it suffices. Nice power from low RPM, literally 2.5 grand. I think I'm now in 4th gear, maybe 3rd, but you know, just a twist of the throttle, and the engine is eager to propel. I love this very quiet exhaust. You know, it's so common nowadays to put a loud pipe and just spoil the sound of the bike, but this is lovely. Mild, pleasant, and quiet.
Okay, as you could clearly see, this 1062cc motor propels pretty well when given some gas. Claimed 0 to 60 takes 4 seconds with some change, acceleration feels nice, brisk and perfectly adequate for the road use. It's not brutal or scary in any shape or form, it's just right for what this bike is. If you were brave enough and laid flat on the fuel tank, you could push it to 130 miles per hour no problem, but it will be as pleasant as a slap in the face. Realistically, 60 miles per hour is where comfortable traveling is on this machine. Get it over 70 and wind blast spoils the fun. Tachometer's red line starts at 9,500 RPM, but no point of revving that high, as power tapers off at about 8,000. This air-cooled 4-cylinder 8-valve motor pumps out 93 horsepower at its peak, and does it using 2 camshafts and fairly low compression ratio at about 9.1 to 1. Fuel is metered by 34mm carbs and finally ignited by 8 spark plugs. Yes, that's correct, 2 spark plugs per cylinder to guarantee efficient burning of air-fuel mixture. Cooling is mainly provided by air, but small oil cooler mounted at the front helps to prevent overheating. As you would expect from a motorcycle from that time, gearbox has only got 5 speeds. Overall, the engine can be regarded as very solid and very well placed in this package. No fairings mean decent access for servicing and maintenance, and high mileage isn't really a problem as long as the motor was looked after in terms of valve shim clearances and oil changes. Fuel economy depends mainly on riding style. So big inline fours are kind of famous for a huge appetite for fuel, but keep the Zephyr at steady 60 miles per hour and you will see close to 50 miles per gallon. In contrast to Bruises from early 70s, no drum brakes here. 2 semi-floating discs with 4 piston calipers at the front give the big Zephyr enough stopping power to make a pass even today. Sadly, forks don't offer any adjustment, but at least they're easy to service and remove. Classic rear shocks give some adjustability and can be removed within minutes. They work fine most of the time, but can struggle a bit when loaded with pillion and some extra luggage. Kawasaki Zephyr 1100, similarly to all the other smaller siblings, are machines aimed at fairly specific clientele. It probably won't score many points from the youngest bunch of riders, but will certainly endear some serious following from a mature consumer. Prices hit the rock bottom long time ago and seem to be creeping up now, so finding a good example might be an idea for investment. A Zephyr 1100 will offer more performance, reliability and at least as much fun as Z1 900 at fraction of its cost. Fairly low cost of ownership and cheap insurance are another positives going for it. Sublimely comfortable riding position, smoothness of the engine, plush handling and relaxing riding style are a magnet that pulls you towards this motorcycle the more you ride it. It's actually quite extraordinary that a machine so simple in its tech and so mild in its performance can have such an effect on its rider. Truly wonderful motorcycle. Well done, Kawasaki.